we're already rolling. What's your day job?
I am a developer, but for power plants. So.
Oh, that's kind of important.
Yeah. So it started during. Remember that big blackout in 2021?
I don't remember any of it. I blocked it out of my. Well, I was pretty drunk during most of it, but yeah.
Oh, well, the whole state shut down, and I got like super. My eyes ripped open to like how fragile the grid is in Texas. So I was like, okay, there's a big problem here. I kind of want to contribute to solving it. I think it could be a good career for me. I went back and finished my data science degree in college, and I was like, hey, there's a real problem. Like the grid is getting more and more unstable, and I thought the answer at the time was nuclear energy because it's so stable. It produces the same amount of energy around the clock.
Yeah.
It's clean. It's reliable. It's awesome. So that kind of began my mission to help the grid.
You are a man of the people, Jesus. And and that is a cool thing about this show is I get to find out fascinating things like that about. I would have never known that had I not had you sit down in this chair. But
that's my day job. That's what I do. I like find the places to build them.
Yeah.
And then find out all the reasons why you shouldn't build it there, and then help fix those problems. So it's like, oh, there's not enough water. I go find the water. Oh, there's permitting problems. Oh, I go fix the permitting problems.
So that's an interesting point that you just brought up. Isn't Texas kind of coming to a problem where we're going to run out of water at some point?
Yeah, it's a significant problem anywhere west of the Mississippi. Honestly, it's really hard to get water.
And so I was talking to some guy who was dealing with the water problem down in Corpus Christi at a gym. And how does Galveston not have a desalination plant? And how are they not utilizing the power of the ocean?
Great point. I mean, they actually are building one right now.
Right, but it's a little late. Yeah, yeah. The problem is here.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
So yeah, how do we solve Texas water problem? In your opinion,
it comes down to cheap electricity. Because desalinization is an incredibly electric intensive process. It's also a chemically intensive process. So you got to have really smart engineers and a lot of cheap power. And then you could do it. Israel does it.
Okay. Well, let's not get political too soon. But wouldn't the oil industry, I mean, I feel like that would help us greatly with the energy requirement, no?
They want to, but it's got to line up. Power's got to have the right price. You got to have the regulations out of the way. But at the end of the day, everybody wants the economy to grow. So everybody's on board. It just needs, all the incentives need to line up. And that's we're going through a process of making sure they line up.
Were you here in 2020 or were you still in San Diego?
My first day was February, I want to say the 16th of 2021. And that was the day of the blackout. I flew in. I'm a San Diego guy. I flew in for a job interview in a t-shirt and flip-flops. Like it was 70 degrees. I didn't even look at I was 20 years old. I didn't look at the weather. I was an idiot. I was like, it's Texas. It's going to be fucking hot. No, it was 20 degrees, 25 degrees, frozen, inch of snow on the ground. And that's what kickstarted my career in Texas.
And we were losing our shit down here. It was pretty interesting. Well, my wife is a wound care nurse, so she has a very important job to go to.
Yes. And
thankfully, through the Facebook community, she was able to find people who are really into all-terrain vehicles, going off-roading. So they were posting, hey, if you guys need a ride to work, let us know. And so they came and swooped her up. And yeah, her little Mazda, she went on the first day. I'm like, you really shouldn't go because if you get stuck out there, there's no way I could fucking help you in my 2012 Honda Civic. So, thankfully she made it back. And the second day is when it got a little worse. And then that's when she reached out to them and they came through and picked her up and dropped her off and then brought her home too. But that was a whole different story. They had to shit in bags and they had nothing. Well, they had electricity, but no running water. So that was it was fucked up.
That's exactly what opened my eyes to it. I was like, everything depends on electricity. Right. Even the water depends on electricity because you remember that boil water notice?
Oh, yeah. We had a few going through that year, I believe.
Yeah, it comes down to electricity. So when the power goes out, all of these systems start to fail.
So is it because we aren't taking precautions in the changing of our climate? Or what is it? Was it just a perfect storm that kind of, woke us up to this? Okay.
It was both. So the problem is we had a once in 100-year storm.
Yeah.
And our entire power grid was not weatherized. We weren't ready for that storm. Why would you be ready for that storm?
Right.
It was insane. But it kind of uncovered all the wires are getting old. All the power plants are getting old. We built a lot of basically, I won't get into the details, but the grid became more and more unreliable over years. And we need to rebuild it. We need to rebuild it with technology that's more stable and consistent and reliable.
So is there some hope for us? I mean,
Hell
we
yeah.
could. Okay, good. All right.
Fuck yeah. There's a lot of smart people working on this right now.
Okay, good.
This is the big deal of the state. I mean, everybody's talking about it. It's a huge deal. But we're here to talk about comedy.
We are. Yeah, we're talking about comedy. But before we get into that, let's talk about a little bit of your history and how you got to Texas. So growing up in San Diego,
Yep.
that must have been nice, right?
It does not suck. It is my favorite place. Next to Austin. I love Austin.
Okay.
But yeah, San Diego's home. Very blessed. Come from a good family. Come from a great place.
Right
Really
on.
excited about it.
And so why did you pick Austin? Was it specifically the problem that we encountered, or?
No, it was my first job out of college. When I was a senior, my strategy for getting a job was I went to all the smartest people I knew, and I asked them who the smartest people they knew were. And I went through 3 different angles of trying to get through a job, 3 different industries, and I just kind of went up the ladder in each one and said, like, who's the smartest person you know? Would you mind introducing me to the smartest person you know? And it ended up taking me to this company here in Austin. I was interviewing for them, and that's when the storm hit. And that's what gave me my career.
Okay. How did you know how to do that? How did you know to ask these people, like, hey, who do you know who's smart?
Instinct.
Okay.
It's just the right thing. It's the right thing to do. Like when I want to do something, I come up with a strategy how to get there. And I just like a vision, and I'll be like, okay. And then I'll think about how to get there the best I can.
Wow. And how old were you when you first started doing that? Do you remember?
I mean, that brain pattern,
Yeah.
dude. I've been doing jobs since I was 12. Like
Okay.
walking dogs.
How old are you now?
26.
Oh my God, you guys are so young. Austin Eater was the closest to my age, and actually was older than me. Taylor, he's 38.
I watched that. It's a good.
Yeah,
idea.
it's all right. It's okay. I felt like I slacked a little bit, but thank you for
Really?
watching that. Yeah,
that was thoughtful.
that's the cool thing. That's another thing about this podcast is I get to interview people and try to bring out cool, interesting stories, and I just feel like I fucked that one up because he's an interesting guy, and I just didn't give him a good option. Yeah, if you can solve our electrical problems in this household to stop my TV from doing that, but we'll talk about that later.
It's not your TV.
What is it? The circuit?
Yeah, it's probably your neighborhood. You get voltage flickers when you have power plants that are inconsistent. I swear to God, it's because it depends on the wind. Our grid literally depends on the wind.
But okay. I was gonna say I got distracted because I was thinking about the post that you made last night on your story about the drones.
Yeah,
it's a wild thing because now I'm looking in the sky and I'm looking at what I think could be a plane or it could be a drone.
Yeah.
And last night I was out here late. I might have been medicated a little bit.
maybe.
But I heard like helicopters circling. I'm like,
Really?
This is not good. This is very reminiscent of Southern California where I grew up. It
Yeah.
was just another night that the police helicopter would be circling our neighborhood looking for criminals.
Oh my God.
So I was like, it's nice to be back home just for a little bit. But
Where are you from in Southern California?
Riverside. So
You're from
in the
Riverside.
valley, yeah.
Very cool.
Well, yeah.
eh.
I missed it when we left when I was 12 years old. I'm like, there's no Jack in the Box, there's no mall, we're so far away from the beach. And then moving to a small little West Texas town, I was like, okay, this place sucks because it doesn't have those things. But every year I go back, I'm like, man, traffic really sucks here in California. It's not that bad in Texas, or at least in our small town. And then I just really understood how California worked and talked to my brother and all the politics that goes on to that state. I'm like, man, this place kind of blows. I'm kind of
So
glad
true.
yeah. But anyways, so drones, are they real? Or are the UFOs?
It's not my.
What are they distracting us from?
Have you ever seen one in real life?
A drone?
No, like in this crisis moment. Like, have you seen one, or
but
do you think? What's your thoughts?
Well, again, to your point, I think they are distracting us from something. I don't know, but again, I just at this point, it sucks to say I don't care. I'm too happy.
Kinda
like
where I'm at, too.
Yeah, I'm like the government's going to government, and I can only control what I can control. So I want to help the communities that I'm involved in grow and prosper, and make sure those are sustainable. And I want to make sure my business is sustainable because that feeds my family, which is my wife and my 2 kitties, my cats. And that's kind of like all I can really control, because if I worry about the pandemic, put a big it changed my frame of mind of like, hey, you can't really control what everyone else is doing, so let's just control what we can. And my wife was a big part of that in saying, hey, Ramon, it's going to be okay. Just stay healthy, wash your hands, because apparently I wasn't doing that before. But it's like, I don't know what's going on with the drone situation, but it's very weird and it's interesting at the very least. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of look over there. We're gonna do stuff over here going on in a lot of parts of America right now. I think the alien theories are my favorite.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know
best.
about believable, but they're fun to listen to. But it's what do you think? Are aliens real?
I mean, how can we can't be the only ones in this solar system? There's
where are they?
That's very true. Maybe we're just in the simulation. Maybe Neo's gonna come save us.
Maybe.
But anyways, all right. So you're in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
And I don't know, art has been kind of blowing up ever since a big personality podcaster came to town.
Yep.
What was when did the first idea came to open up your establishment?
Wow. So there is a moment going on with the comedy scene here. The idea didn't start with comedy.
Yeah.
So 2022, moved into this house on Hidalgo Street, East 6th, right by Mama Dearest, La Holly. Nice little pocket of bars. Moved into this house.
By the way, are you okay with...
Yeah.
All right.
I'll dox myself all
I'm
day.
just saying.
My address is on
people
everything.
Are getting smarter nowadays.
That's
and
fine. I've
apparently
already been doxed
Joe's
twice.
house has been robbed quite a few times.
Oh, is that right?
Because he announces that he's going on tour and then all this stuff. Yeah. Anyways, that's what he told me. So
I
sorry to
believe it.
interrupt.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
never leave. I've got cameras. I've got guns. So come try me.
Right.
So we first moved into the house, backyard. I was like, that's a venue. There's a big stage, but it's like a patio underneath this big, beautiful pecan tree. And
Was that already established there?
That stage was already there.
Wow. Okay.
It was just like a patio. There was like lawn chairs on it when I bought the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe we could do shows here. I joked to my dad at the time, like the house came with a venue. And so I started with commercials. We had a girl come out. She was beautiful. And I was talking to her. I was originally hitting on her. And turns out she worked for this ad agency, and she was looking for venues to do shoots for brands. Sure. She's like, why don't you try that in my backyard? It went well. The brand was weird. It was called Fetish Coffee. I swear to God.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, exactly. Fetish Coffee. And then that didn't really go anywhere. So I was like, okay, maybe that's not it. We tried to do music.
You mean the venue space didn't really go anywhere, right?
Yeah, at first.
Or the brand itself?
I don't know about the brand itself. I wish them all the luck. I wish them all the luck in that. Don't know. I hope it's doing great.
Because when there's a lot of variables that go into like having a studio, you have to think about like backdrops, you have to think about lighting, you have to think about just like the really in-depth logistics of what it takes to make a video.
And I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was calling to me.
No. And if you don't have that passion behind it, then all those little things just become bothersome and become a nuisance. And you're just like, fuck this. I don't want to do that.
Exactly. And the one thing that I did have in me was a desire to build communities. And I know that can sound cringe, but it's true. Like,
it's corny as hell, but it's the truth.
It's
brother.
true. It's like ever since I was like 16, I was the one throwing parties. I was the one who I loved the idea of concerts. I loved bringing people together. I would throw camps. I would throw like little concerts, whatever I could do. So I wanted to do something like that. So then I went to music, and I would try to do music in the backyard, and that didn't really take off either.
How? Why? Why do you think that? Because we're the music capital of the world.
I think that's true, but I think there's a new wave that's stronger. So the amount of young, cool bands that had good music and being able to put on a show for them that I thought would be appropriate for them and for us was very slim. There were very few. I found maybe one or two bands that fit the bill, that fit the price, that fit the right time and the length, and I could provide the resources necessary for them to thrive.
Yeah.
It was one or two. So I'm that's not a real market, right? There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a backup pop-up venue in the afternoons on Saturdays. That could be cool. but how many bands can you get to do that repeatably and have a business? So I was like, okay, maybe that's not it.
And the logistics behind that too. You got to, load in, load out, drummers, guitarists, amps. Yeah, that's a whole different monster.
So I was a little bit, I was excited by that. We definitely still could do this and I'm open to it. But right now, at that point, I was like, maybe that's not it. Enter Joe Begley. I'm at a gym. It's my birthday, 2022. And this guy with just this crazy blonde hair just comes up with a big smile like, hey, I'm Joe. I'm like, oh, okay, what's up, man? Nice to meet you. We hit it off, instant friends, grab drinks, find out that he's like an up-and-coming famous comic. And it clicks. I was like, you should start throwing shows in my backyard. He's like, nobody's going to go to shows in the backyard. That's not going to happen. Sorry, Joe. But I went to his show that he was throwing.
Where was he throwing it at?
In the lobby of his apartment building.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And all the chairs were different sized. The AC didn't work. One was behind a pole.
It's very much like this.
Oh no. I mean, this is luxury. The AC was broken, like I said.
Please tell
me
the
talent was amazing.
Please tell me it wasn't during like the summertime, was it?
It was like a shoulder season, so it was still sticky, but it was fine. It was nice.
Okay.
I brought a girl there. It was great. But Joe, the show was fantastic. It was amazing talent, like top comedy mothership level talent. And that's when it really grabbed me. I'm like, Joe, you got to come do this. Please, like, we have to make this happen. Finally gives me a shot. We start with 20 people, my backyard. And it grew really naturally.
But why was he so hesitant when he first brought up the idea?
I think there's a way that business is done in Austin, that comedy careers are made. And there is a bit of a meme of doing it in your lobby of your apartment building in these creative spaces, but nobody had done the backyard yet.
Okay.
So to me, it looked like a natural offshoot of the meme, but it took a little bit. And once Joe came to the backyard, it really changed for him. And he's like, I get it.
You didn't like show him pictures of that big, beautiful tree? And he was like, no, that's not going to happen, bro.
You have to feel it, right?
I will say, yes, you do. Last weekend was my first introduction. I mean, I've seen it on social media, but there's a vibe there. And that's kind of cringy to say, but there's a certain like element of, hey, you're part of the cool club now, Totally. So yeah, that's very interesting that he would, he would shy away from it from the first intro. But wait, so let's go back to the gym meeting, because I know when I go out and work out at the gym, the last thing I want to do is talk to other people. I'm just there to get my shit done. So who approached who?
Joe approached me, but he's got great guy riz. He's just really good at picking up dudes. He's good with girls too, but great at picking up chicks.
I've seen him more be successful in talking to dudes than I have women in the 2 nights that I've
He's
been
good
out
with women.
He is, but that's just, I don't know. That's weird. But
he picked it up immediately, and he's been the absolute best partner.
Oh, for sure.
That I could have had in growing this business, because we started, and I didn't know anything about comedy.
Yeah.
And he is extremely, from my perspective, extremely popular in the comedy scene. Like,
I think he is.
People love Joe.
100, yeah.
And he knows everybody.
Yep.
So, and he had patience to deal with me as I came up the learning curve. So together we've really made some good
What
shit
was
happen.
part of that? What was the biggest thing you took away from in that learning curve? Like, what didn't you know? What weren't you thinking about when you were thinking of like, hey, let's just do a comedy show in our backyard?
I think the human element of it, he really taught me about, right? How to, because I come from a world of like numbers and moving atoms. He comes from a world of dealing with people.
It seems like the number thing is very easy to manage as opposed to, well, dealing with humans.
It's very different for sure. The human element of doing business with comics, he's an expert at. And so without that, I would be just an asshole calling you and asking if you want to do the show. With Joe, it's like a valet experience. Like, there's a relationship.
Yeah.
You get the sense that you're progressing in the scene. He's really talented.
Yeah. No, he's phenomenal.
But I don't want to go any further without shouting out Alex with the merch. Don't forget the real deal. We would be nowhere without the branding.
You bring my
Alex.
Shirt yet?
What shirt?
Son
We're
of
sold
a
out,
bitch.
man.
You guys still owe me for that.
Is that right? We will deck you out next time. Though,
thank you. That's all I want to do is just swag myself out with the people who support me, and I want to support you guys.
We support you. That's what I'm here.
Thank you. So, what was the first show like?
Oh man.
Was it a shit show or was it?
It was some of my closest friends. That was it. But we had really good talent and it was funny.
Right on. How many comics do you have?
We had 6. We stick with 6 to 7. Joe got us a great lineup, and my friends paid, I think, like $10 a ticket.
That's just very affordable, especially in Austin.
Oh yeah, but at first you have to see it from their perspective. Like, why am I paying Will to go to a comedy show right now? Like, this is like my closest friends that showed up. Maybe like
because it's gonna be cool, right?
Exactly. Right. It was a tough sell. So thank you to all of them for that. But, yeah.
Isn't it like with this whole podcast thing? Like I don't talk about it with my friends. Like if they want to tune in, great. I'm not forcing this upon them, but there are a few friends who I didn't think would reach out, would watch the show or listen to it. I'm like, holy shit, you're actually listening to it, you actually subscribe to it, and that makes me feel good. But to you, when your friends come to the show, like at least you're going to get something out of it, some form of entertainment, something different. How does that make you feel when your friends show up? Like, nice, thanks,
it's
guys.
Amazing. I am so stoked always, especially because it's not cheap to put on the show, and my friends, without me telling them, will just pay tickets and come support the scene, support it all. Will show up with a smile on their face, buy the merch, and just support.
That is all we ask as creatives. Like, hey, you can have the option to come in for free or whatever, but I guess to my point is like they have the option to utilize me and not pay me.
Totally.
I will gladly do it for free because they're my friends. But the fact that they're like, hey, we want to pay your rate, we want to pay your ticket price. I mean, that just makes me feel amazing, and knowing that I have good friends around me. So
this wouldn't be possible without them. They're truly the bedrock. And one of the things about HaHa is interesting is every show, 50% of the ticket buyers have been to a show before. So you have like insane retention rate.
Yeah.
People are really loyal to it. We had a show in the rain on Friday. Thank you for trooping through that. That was your first one. They're usually not wet. But the loyalty and the spirit of, again, cringe, but community is real, and it's really fun.
Speaking of wet, we're going to throw it to one of my buddies who comes up with my taglines and commercials.
Great.
So just bear with me as I promote myself on my own show, because we don't have sponsors yet. But that's how that's how you make some waves. So speaking of wet, Resolute Media. When your chips are down and your luck has run out, Resolute Media will be there with a smile and a camera to film your first OnlyFans video.
Love it.
Thank you, Mike.
Wet.
Very wet. So what are some of the things that you didn't factor in logistics wise during your first show? So chairs, did you have a PA? What was the major thing that you thought, man, I fucked this up so bad, or I forgot about this part?
Wow. Going back to the first show, I was super nervous about the sound equipment. So we would do like sound checks, and we'd do a double sound check. We'd have backup microphones. We still do that, but the extent to which I was worried about that was probably disproportionate. The things that have been most important to us are how smooth it is to buy a ticket and how smooth it is to buy a beer. Like, if you get those two things down, people are stoked generally. Like, make sure they have a seat to sit in, make sure they have a beer to buy, make sure they can buy their ticket easily, then we're good.
It's nice to have bartenders that can pour you good beer, because
Shout out Choice.
Choice was awesome. I suck at pouring beers. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, which part? The beer part?
The beer selling part, the alcohol selling part.
So we have a regular bartender, Ethan, who is an absolute animal. So when we went from being BYOB, then we started getting more serious. We got an actual bartender, TABC licensed.
Okay, good. All right.
We got.
I was sweating about that a little.
Oh no.
Okay. So you're licensed.
We're licensed.
Everything's legit.
We operate as kind of like a wedding venue, right? Where you can have a pop-up bar in a park, and it's fine so long as you have a licensed bartender.
That's brilliant.
It's a gray area that I'm protected on, but
right.
Yeah, as we scale, we'll have to
figure it out.
In that.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I do appreciate that. I don't appreciate that I have to have a true drink minimum at some of the other popular locations.
We don't do that.
And that's what I like about your venues. Like, hey, if you want to have a beer, have a beer. Don't force, people to drink or pay this money. But I get it. They have different costs, and there's, certain things that, they have to make their money on. And I respect that. But it is nice. And also, like, your tickets are always available to an extent, because you are becoming quite popular.
We sell out. We've sold out every show. So
never mind. Strike that.
We've sold out every show. The only one thing I want to bring attention to is that 2 drink minimum is great when you force it. You cap a low end, but we actually average like 2.5 drinks per person without forcing it.
Without forcing it, right.
So we offer a great price. People are generally stoked. They want to get fucked up because they feel good.
Yeah.
And it works better. Because if we could say 2 drink minimum and it would just ruin the vibes, we'd probably sell 2 drinks a person and that's it.
Yeah. So banking off, or what did you learn from the first show that you kind of carried off to the second show, if you can remember?
Yeah, constant growth. Like every single show, we try and do something better. We try and find a way to add and refine always. So from that first show, we just got a list of things we wanted to do better. It started really small. It was 20 people and 6 comics, and we doubled it immediately. Then we tripled it. And so that was a big one. We added more lights. We added the right bartender. We added the right marketing. We added, amazing talent to capture the moments, which helps us with the marketing because we don't pay for ads. We don't do Instagram ads. Everything's word of mouth and through promo stuff.
And I think that's the key point there, that the word of mouth marketing is far more valuable than anything that I could ever produce. Because if you have some dude saying like, dude, I just went to a backyard show and had the best fucking time of my life. I got to see amazing comics like that. I mean, that is where it's at. Because I told my buddies about it. However, the weekend before, I just hosted a golf tournament, and it was pissing on us the entire time.
Yeah.
And then I saw the weather report for
I'm sure you were
last weekend. I'm like, guys, listen, I want to bang you twice or on 2 weekends, so maybe you might want to skip on this one. But overall, when I was interviewing people after the show, everyone had a blast.
Yeah.
The chicks stayed there throughout the entire time. That was
crazy.
impressive.
It's crazy, right?
Because typically, I'm sorry for being a misogynist, but I feel like as soon as there's bad weather, women are out. They're like,
totally
fuck
true.
that.
That's
I'm
what
not
we were
coming.
expecting.
Yeah.
But no, the girls, everybody was just troopers. So for a little context, we had a show. We've had all of our shows outside in a backyard. We've had 11 shows with amazing weather. Our 12th show, we had a storm coming in and it dissipated.
This was the 13th show?
This was the 12th.
Okay.
We had 11
All
in the backyard and then 1 at a separate
Got
venue.
it. Okay. I thought it was Friday the 13th that night.
Oh, yeah. This is
yeah.
not the 13th
Okay.
show.
All right.
This is the 11th show.
Maybe there was some
11th
signs.
backyard show. So for our 11th show, we got spit on a little bit with a little bit of rain. Thought it was going to pour on us. We dodged the bullet. And before the show, it's muddy. It's raining. We don't know if everybody's going to leave. And then everybody stuck it out. We thought maybe 30 people would show up. 100 people came. And they stayed for the entire show.
It was very impressive. I think from some of the musicians that I've talked to, it's very hard to get people out to shows, but somehow you managed to pull it off and you found that secret sauce that brings people out. And honestly, it's just, I think it's a testament to your nature. It's a testament to your work ethic. And it's also attributed to Alex and his branding and Joe and his mentality of like, let's fucking make something happen.
That's the spirit of it. I think that it's bigger than definitely than me. It's me, Alex, Joe, Kevin, who does a lot of our like behind the scenes stuff.
Okay.
Choice, Ethan, all of the comics all coming together.
Yeah.
We really capture that like spirit of Austin, where it's like DIY, it's go have fun, break the rules a little bit, get fucked up in a backyard, listen to some great talent. And it's that spirit that captures this town. We're just a part of it.
So what do you hope, what does the future look like for Ha Ha Dog? Does it stay there? Does it acquire a new building? Are you allowed to talk about it?
It's a little hush hush. But we have some big plans.
Good. So in regards to helping communities, is there like a standard thing that you found to help communities grow, to help foster that growth? Is there something that you discovered, or is it just putting in the work, and each industry or each community is different?
There's two answers. One, you have to build it. You have to build something, like make it easy for people. But that's just the practical. The deeper insight is people want to belong to something. People want identity. They want to feel like they're on the inside. So if you can create that on like I'm on the inside, I feel like I have an identity with this, I want to be here, it makes me feel good about myself, then you can't lose. And I do that in all my business stuff. It's
Yep.
How do you feel part of this? How
Right.
is this bigger than life?
And while still trying to hold on to that sentiment, as something like this grows, and it will grow, how do you keep it wholesome? How do you keep it authentic to that idea of just trying to help without like becoming corporate, or I don't know what the word is, but without like
Selling
stepping
out.
up? Yeah, exactly.
Without selling out.
Yeah.
It's this team.
Yeah.
Like how could I be any different when I'm surrounded by Joe and Alex and Kevin and Choice and Ethan? Like they're normal, good people who really care. And if as long as you stay close to what the customer wants, I don't think you can miss.
Is Alex the jean jacket guy that opened up?
No, Alex
Okay,
is
that's
our
a different
artist.
Alex. Okay. All right.
That is the jean jacket guy who opened up.
forget his
You
name.
talking about Tommy Pope?
No. That there was a he was the taking money from. He was
Oh, the
he was
ticket
working the
man.
door. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, I know who the other jean jacket guy, Tommy Pope. You fuck. You didn't tag me in my. You used my
Bastard.
photo. You son of a
We
bitch.
we texted him and told him to. So
No, I'm kidding. Tommy Pope, you're okay, I guess.
he's great.
I will say his bit about tight spirals. I mean, I've been talking to my buddies, and it resonates with us married men. I will say.
I gotta tell you, we've thrown a bunch of shows now. Nothing has reverberated like that joke. I'm getting texts about it today.
Tight spirals,
I got
dude.
a
That's
text
all.
of somebody at the airport with Tommy Pope like yesterday. Like tight spirals was the caption. Hilarious.
The thing about that bit is because it's so fucking true. It's just like, yeah, I'm a married man. I'm happily married. Don't get that wrong. But there's just something about being on a beach with your buds, slamming beers, and just throwing the football around without a care in the world. It's a very beautiful moment that we forgot of how good we had it when we were just young gentlemen, just chasing, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So how do you manage the comics that come in? Is it just based off Joe? Okay.
Joe's the man.
Yeah.
So how it works is the work is split into three. I handle like the business, the marketing, and logistics.
Yeah.
Joe handles everything talent, and Alex handles everything design and social and interaction.
Okay.
So we get together at the beginning of a month. We'll talk about what we want to accomplish. We'll say, hey, these are our goals for the show.
Yeah.
3 weeks before the show, Alex makes the poster. 2 weeks before the show, Joe books all the talent.
Okay.
And all in that time, I'm setting up the actual show of like chairs, porta potties. I know nobody wants to talk about this, but like all the basic shit.
That's the thing that because I saw a porta potty in your front yard. I'm like, surely he doesn't have this throughout the duration
Correct.
of his.
No, yeah.
So you hire the company to drop off the shitter and then and take it out.
Just the business management stuff that nobody wants to think about.
Was the porta potty there the first show you ever had, or were you introduced people?
People were pissing in the bushes, man. People were taking risky pisses for sure.
Risky Pisses. That's got to be a good band name. That show that night when I came and filmed, I felt so bad for your house because we were coming in and out with our muddy shoes, and I'm like, Will's, he's got a landlord. Like, that'll be fine. And then I like, fuck, this sucks now. I feel bad. And Choice is spilling shit in the kitchen, trying to come up with the concoctions. I'm like, you're the real life, God, it's slipping my name. You're the Godfather in Old School.
Oh yeah. Gotcha.
That's what I immediately thought of.
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I need to rewatch it. I think his name. But that alone would stress me the fuck out. And you're doing it out of your house. How do you manage that stress? How do you not think about it?
I mean, I'm we love the show. That part is not fun.
Yeah.
But
Like, God,
we
I have
got
to
the
mop all
cleaners.
this shit up later.
Yeah. We it takes a lot of rehab over the weekend, but the guys are charitable enough to come help out.
Sure.
And I buy them breakfast, and it's all good.
Okay.
But the show is bigger than the house, in my opinion. It's just kind of our cradle. We have an amazing thing going, but excited for more shows in the backyard and then maybe something else. We'll see.
So talking about logistics, what are some of the logistics that you're thinking about in regards to show? Like ticket prices are coming in. Okay, we're not seeing the trend that we normally see from our past shows. What are you doing to like up the ticket sale or the exposure or the marketing if you see an early trend?
There is a pattern. The pattern is you get a big burst, plateau, and then a big burst to finish.
Yeah.
So if we see an exceptionally, like a first burst that doesn't go as high, a lot of it is just Alex's amazing talent. He'll cook up some extra special media. We'll talk to some friends. We'll reach out to some group chats. But really, we've been blessed in that the more work that we put into the show, the more gravity it has, right? So if we really put thought into, we want to do, we're going to have a really special guest this time. We don't even have to communicate it. It's just psychic. Like, it's weird. But the more work we put into it, the better the show does.
So it's just work it out and basically put in hard work, and then the show will eventually take care of itself.
Correct.
Okay.
It's really natural.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. And this is probably the same thing as your business, right? Like, you work harder at something, you put more work into it, it does better?
No.
Really?
No. It seems like the less effort you put into making a video, the better it does. Just because cell phones are becoming more prevalent, and it's like everyone has a camera on their phone, so just document everything. What I am doing is just kind of not so much focusing on production value, but just getting to the heart of the story, just getting to the why of this thing is happening. And because I think there is a need for that now. Everything is so polished and pretty, and I don't know, that just doesn't resonate with me anymore. Like I love the cinematic videos that's on my feed, but I also love seeing the shittiness of things, like how terrible it was to get to that point. You know, social media is just riddled with, hey, this is the best moments of my life. But you're not seeing the back end of when I'm fucking struggling, when you're not seeing the back end when I'm like cooking my meals and like, I don't have a fucking job this month. Oh my God, how am I going to, help pay half the mortgage? But eventually it kind of all works out. And what I do to kind of circumvent those thoughts is just edit more, do more stuff, do things that makes me happy, do things with people who are hustling, and therefore I absorb their energy and I want to hustle more and do better for them and their community. And so, to your point, like the more work, the more work I put into my own business, the better I see it. But the more work I put into videos doesn't necessarily get the ROI that in regards to viewership, but I feel better about it. You know what I mean? In a long roundabout way.
Before I get into the answer to that question, I mean, that's evident in your work.
Yeah, well, thank you.
All of that is evident. The reason that I was so excited about what you sent me was you captured not just the footage, not just the vibe, you captured the story and the characters.
How do you not capture that? That's a thing. It's a DIY venue that is doing awesome things and people are coming to it. How do you not show fucking Joe Begley like scrambling around and you sweeping the garage and dealing with the fucking mud track going through your home? Like that's a great story. That's a great story. And 20 years from now, you're going to look at that video and be like, God, we were fucking idiots, but we made it happen.
Totally true. I mean, it's ugly, but it's true.
And that's a cool thing because we're not seeing the start of, I don't think we're not seeing the start of cool things happening. We're seeing the polished end of it. But I think a lot of people get excited about starting some new project, but they don't understand the work ethic and the shittiness that you have to go through to get to doing a cool thing.
Yeah, it's I'm a big believer in starting small. right?
Yeah.
And
I learned that very hard.
You gotta start small and let it grow naturally and put in the work. But what I see is a lot of desire to just fast forward and like end up with cool sweatshirts.
Right.
You know?
That is a pretty cool sweatshirt. Yeah, it's sick.
It takes a week to print, but it took a year and a half to make. You know what I'm saying?
And so, like in the start of this, you weren't thinking about, oh, we're gonna make cool swag. We're just like, let's just get it going, right?
At first, it was just no. I actually had the vision. I saw the sweatshirt. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the sweatshirt. I was like, I know, I see it. And thanks, Alex, for making it real. But yeah, we definitely saw it. It's so fun, dude.
Well, I guess, yeah. The DIY aspect of what you're doing is impressive. When I first started this Pints of Professional thing, I had like a very elaborate setup. 3 cameras. I was doing it at a brewery. Shout out Nomadic Brewery. They were awesome. They welcomed me in. And then it got to a point where I'm spending so much money providing the production value, but yeah, I'm having these engaging conversations, but all this production value doesn't mean anything if no one's seeing it. So I put it on hiatus and then brought it back once I had a simple setup. But now I'm just doing like, let's get the camera on, let's get good mics, and that's it. We don't need a 3 camera setup. I don't want a 3 camera setup. I want to keep it easy, digestible, and I just want people to tune in and watch. Then once we build that platform, once we get the audience, that's when we can invest in, upping the production value. And I think that's what I really am gravitated towards what Haha is doing, is because you're just providing an awesome experience first. You're providing the bare minimum in like audio soundboards or whatever, and you're just letting it do what it needs to do to gain an audience, and you're doing a great job at it.
Thanks. It's just about what actually matters.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what are the true things that people react to?
Right.
And you invest heavily in those things, but like, it's a porta potty, not like using like a nice restroom. Right. It's a plastic table instead of mahogany. Right. There's a lot of things, but they're amazing talent. We triple pay the market rate for comics in Austin.
Good.
The original insight into Haha was that there were more comics than there were fans.
That's great. That's
what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're paying them $0 to do shows. Think about like 5 minutes on stage, 10 minutes. You'd think they get paid like a couple $100.
No.
The average rate is $25, and that's high. I have a buddy who's an LA comic. He said getting on stage was the payment. It's true.
They're paying an exposure.
Yeah, they're paying an exposure. We pay them $100 a show. That we pay them as much as Comedy Mothership. Like we're the 2 highest paying shows in town, and we don't talk about money with the comics, but I'm sure it factors in. But they don't talk about it when they say that they want to do the show. They say that it's because they have a great fucking time.
Yeah.
We're very comic friendly.
So if you're setting the bar if you're setting the market essentially for paying comics, in your mind, how are other venues kind of looking at you, in your opinion?
If they know about me, they probably don't like me. But the venues might not, but the comics love me. We have a waiting list of guys who want to do the show, and it's our biggest blessing.
And I think that's, again, you're kind of breaking the mold of what the establishment has set, and I find that that's great. That's what you need to do to build a community. The fact that in the creative world, there's always a struggle of, what do you charge? What's your budget? Totally. And I've learned that, man, I don't know what I'm going to charge because I don't know what type of ROI this is going to bring to you. Let's work together. Let's figure it out because you're in a cool industry. Let's see what we can do. And if it works for both of us, and if it works for my schedule, then you have me at whatever price point you set, because I trust your authenticity. I trust what you're doing for the community. And therefore I want to fuck with you, as the young ones are saying. But yeah, it's such a balance of like, balancing logistics versus my time spent. But the fact that you're paying people, you're paying good talent, that resonates with the artists wholly, and they're going to want to they're going to tell their friends, I'm like, holy shit, this venue paid me this much. Meanwhile, this other place didn't pay me shit. So let's put all of our audience eyeballs on this one location.
It's
a very simple concept, but
exactly
it makes sense.
Right. It invests in the things that matter. Don't invest in the things that don't.
Yeah.
Triple pay comics, porta potties.
And one thing I think you're also providing to the community is another venue for them to perform at, to get those reps in. Because Joe has told me time and time, or on the 2 times that I went out with him in doing his vlogs, he's like, I just want more appearances. Seriously. I want more reps. I want more reps in front of strangers, so that way I can work that muscle, feel out different crowds. And I think that is by far, I think that's the most important thing that you can do for any community. Just provide them a venue for them to, take those L's or take those W's.
And that's making comedy fans. There's not enough. There's too many comics. There's not enough venues, and there's not enough comedy fans.
And you're solving that fucking problem.
And that's why there's an opportunity, right? So we bring people in who are like Concourse Project people, Latchkey people, Buford's people, and we bring them into a backyard. And maybe they've never heard of Tommy Pope. Maybe they've never heard of Che Dorena. They definitely. Who knows? But we bring them into the backyard, and we make comedy fans. And next thing you know, these guys are going and they're contributing to the ecosystem elsewhere. They're subscribing to somebody's podcast, or they're paying in Patreon, or they're going to Comedy Mothership. But that's my way of contributing to it.
That's a great way. So how do you solve the problem of limited places for them to perform at?
Well, I think just right now is the backyard. But it's not like somebody decided like, oh, we're just not going to make any more. It's a market signal, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody thinks that there's more comedy fans than there are venues, somebody's going to go build a venue. But right now it seems like we're not quite at that point yet. Like there needs to be maybe another year's worth of talent of fan curation before somebody's going to come and try and build the rival mothership.
Yeah. Are you collecting not necessarily people's data, but what data points are you collecting from all these shows?
Just the basics. Like Posh is our ticket app. It's fantastic. I recommend it to anybody. It's amazing. I'm a huge what's the word?
Advocate,
but what's the word for the guys who follow Jesus? I'm an apostle. I'm a Posh apostle. Like I preach the gospel about Posh. I love it. So
what is their take on using their platform?
They love it. They want me to.
No, I'm sorry. I'm saying, what percentage of the ticket sales are they taking? You want another beer?
I'm fine for now.
Okay.
They take like single-digit percentage points of every ticket.
Got it. Okay.
I think it's like 3.
So it seems fair.
Oh, it's very fair.
Okay.
It's way under what StubHub charges. Way under what StubHub charges, but it's less than Eventbrite. It's less than all the alternatives.
Yeah.
And it has the real feel of like a Ticketmaster.
Got it. Okay. I've never used, actually I used Posh one time.
It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
So they track the basics. So they'll tell me like, has this person bought a ticket before?
Yeah. How
many shows have they been to? And we're not like selling your data. I just look at it for my own, tuning of the project. So if it's like we have like a show with like 80% people buying tickets, something worked about that ad.
Yeah.
Right? Like something like, it had escape velocity. One of the things that I look for in a video is not necessarily how many likes or comments it has, it's how many shares it gets.
Okay.
So when you see that little triangle button in the bottom right, the more shares that it has, the more excited I get that we're onto something. Because that means not only did you like it, but you thought it was worth sending it to somebody. Somebody you think on the second level, like I like it, therefore person B will like it. So that's when it's special. That's what our whole business is built on.
And you're not really, you can't really track like word of mouth, can you?
No. There's no like.
That's an extremely valuable.
That share button is the best way.
Yeah.
Right. That's how excited were you beyond because people will share it but not like it. People will like it but not press the like button. But if you want to send it to somebody, maybe you'll text it to them, but most likely you're going to use that share feature.
Yeah. So, Joe has brought a lot of comics to your area. What do you think in the grand scheme of things? Do you think it's like resonating outside of Texas, like this special little place?
Yeah. I got an order from Colorado yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been doing it over the course of a long time. When do you think are the peaks when is the peak of doing a comedy show here in Austin, Texas?
What do you mean by peak?
Like summertime, springtime, when the weather's good because it's an outdoor venue.
March and October and November are the best months in Austin, and that coincides with really fun shows, but there's so much going on. It's kind of hard sometimes to break through the noise as like a startup. but we've had success when we do try. So it's all good.
There seems, well, apparently there was a mass exodus. I don't know if that's the word, but it seems people are leaving Texas after the tech boom. How does that impact ticket sales, if any?
I think that data point that Travis County had for the first time in 20 years, a negative population growth, is really interesting, but I don't ascribe it to Austin's not having a magnet anymore.
Right.
I think it's mainly because the tech industry is in a recession, and they're also majorly automating away a lot of their jobs with AI. And two, I think that the construction boom displaced a lot of families and also created a glut in the market that made people's houses worth a lot less in the short term. I think it's going to be worth a lot more in the long term now. I think Austin is going to be booming in 10 years. And we're just kind of at the foundational level. So I don't think it's a big problem.
Okay, so it's more like a correction, if anything.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a correction.
When it comes to providing a sustainable life for a comic here in Austin, Texas, what goes into that? Because there is affordable, I mean, there's a lot of availability for renting, right?
Huge.
So how do you get the comics here and keep them sustainable?
I think it's already happening. I was talking to an LA comic yesterday who just moved here, and it's because the rents, it's because Mothership is a center point. It's like our Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
And then you have a satellite of increasingly relevant, increasingly cool shows that are coming to support that new generation with the low rents, with the cheap food. It's like a LA in the 60s for rock, for the Doors, it's like Brooklyn in the 90s for hip hop, in the 80s and 90s for hip hop. You have this like low cost living situation where with a bunch of ambiguously employed people and a thriving art scene. I think we're going to have 3 stars in the next 10 years, like major Robin Williams level stars.
I don't see how that doesn't happen.
Right.
I also forget that, people from New York and LA are coming here. And I think, my gut instinct is like, oh, these prices are high in regards to food and beverages and the beers that I drink. But then I hear people coming from LA and like, yeah, this is nothing. I'm like, okay, all right. That kind of puts me in check. So I didn't think about that.
Yeah, we have a really special concoction going on. Like it's really ripe, and everybody's bitching about the prices, and I'm a homeowner. I hate it. But long term, possibly one of the best things that could happen to our city.
What do you miss about San Diego?
Oh, burritos, man.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. That was in the back of my head. So there's only one real place that I found that makes a solid burrito, and it's called 10 to 10 Taqueria on It's kind of like a speakeasy joint. So where it's please look it up. It's I can only guide you there through my experience.
10 to 10.
10 to 10. 10 DE10 Taqueria.
Okay, cool. 10 out of 10. Love
Yep. It's a good burrito spot. It's expensive.
Oh, I've seen this place before.
Yeah. It's the only burrito spot that I found that I really it takes me back to California and the burritos I used to have there. So what have you found in Austin that resembles a good California burrito, if any?
Oh, dude, it's not happening.
Have you been to like Bummer Burrito off of Rainey's former?
Been to Bummer, been to Dago's. Dago's does a good job, but he tried to charge me $20 for a burrito, so I'm not going to do that again.
That is so expensive.
Whatever. The best thing in Austin is the breakfast tacos, and
that's what we got. But
it fits the whole. I'm going to tell everybody this. I'm totally going to blow up my own spot because I don't believe in gatekeeping. But Joe's Bakery on the east side is the absolute best.
Really?
In Austin. It's an honorary mention for a Michelin star, and it won a James Beard Award for Mexican American heritage food. And that's just the awards, like the paper. Like if you actually go, it is like heartwarmingly delicious, traditional Mexican American breakfast tacos, handmade tortillas, fluffy eggs, breaded bacon, lightly fried, perfect. Oh, dude, it's unreal. You hungry?
No, I'm not hungry. I'm about to go crush some birria tacos at the bar down the street from me. But so how long you lived in Texas? 4 years? 5 years?
4. Coming up on 4.
Do you think you're going to stay here a while, or are you going to venture back to California way?
I think this is the place to make your fortune, man.
Okay.
I think this is the place to make a name for yourself. And how many people have had the opportunity to grow up with a city, right?
That's true.
Austin's in its self-defining stage. We don't know who we are yet. We're good at a lot of things. What are we great at, right? Who are we? We have a city that's booming in construction, booming in population. It's all young people. When was the last time you saw an elderly person or a baby, right? Like, it's that simple, right? It's not common. You got a bunch of 20 to 35, maybe up to 40-year-olds who are all at the same time trying to figure out who they are. And it's really exciting because we're going to figure it out, and it's going to be cool. And we're going to be here at the base level.
I will say that I do see a lot of older generation at the bars that I frequent here. I could ride my bike to the bar. That's why I love living here. And I'm a married man, so it's like, whatever. But one of my buddies doesn't like coming down south because he's like, the chicks are hotter on the east side. It's true. Like, we all got to go to Chalmers. I'm like,
it's true.
Dude, I get that.
Place.
It is. It was until I've had to wait in line to get into that fucking spot.
No way already?
Yes. It was during UT's game against Georgia last.
I believe that.
It was packed. It was fine. But I told my dude, I'm like, go get a table 2 hours before, and then we'll come meet you. And secure a table because I want to have a good time. I want to be able to talk to my buds. But it's the young thing. I get it. Everyone's crowded around that fucking
You're
bar.
one of the elderly people.
I'm part of the problem. I am part of the problem.
That's why we're down in South Austin.
I know. Yeah. Where it's nice here. I don't have to wait in line to get I didn't have to wait in line to get Chalmers. All right, Chalmers is cool.
Okay, Chalmers is the best. Don't slander East Side iconic spots. Like, Chalmers, in my opinion, is going to be like, it's an institution. It doesn't even know it yet.
It's also, I think it's owned by the same owners of Armadillo Den, which is right down the street from
iconic.
Here. Yeah.
Iconic spot.
But just, why does everyone have to be so crowded around the bar? I just want to
it's watering holes, man.
I know.
It's watering holes. We all need it.
Well, who you got today? UT or Clemson?
Texas, come on.
Okay, thank you.
Are you kidding me? My school didn't have football, so I adopted them when I moved here.
What school did you go to?
UC Santa Barbara.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's like 20,000 20-year-olds on the beach in Central California. It did not suck. I love that school. That was so much fun.
What do your parents do for work?
My dad sold toothbrushes.
Oh, okay.
He was a exec at Oral-B. He total mind to consumer product goods.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I get my feel for like marketing.
Yeah.
He raised me going to Target and like picking apart the advertising strategies of different companies. It's not fair. It's like ingrained in me, right? Like, so he's the man.
That's
my mom
awesome.
was a very talented executive at Oracle, or not Oracle. I think it was one of the telecom companies in the 90s, but she retired as soon as I was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So what do your parents think of this whole comedy scene? Are they like, I don't get it, what are you doing? Or
at first my mom was like confused. Don't focus on that, focus on your career. But now she's my biggest fan. She's getting a sweatshirt for Christmas.
Awesome.
Hopefully she doesn't watch this because she doesn't know that yet. But my dad has throughout the whole thing been my biggest fan of it.
That's so cool.
He said it's a hobby. It's a good side hustle, but it has a It's a hobby with a It's interesting, right?
Okay.
Like, this could grow and be something really cool for you in the future. Like, because who knows what happens? This could be like a career. Like, this could become like a traveling thing, a big picture. Like, if it happens, it'd be great. If not, we got other things going on. But it's a hobby with a
I just think, I'm interested to find out like the people who are doing interesting things and what their parents think. Because my parents were like, all right, Ramon, you're going to be a videographer. Really? You're going to work with a camera? I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. And they go, all right, just work hard and maybe find a retirement plan and healthcare. And I'm like, I got it squared away.
Sweet.
I met my wife who has a full-time job in the healthcare field where healthcare is taken care of, and retirement. That's what I don't need money when I'm 7 years old. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You'll be shooting videos.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But no, I think they were very hesitant about what I was doing because they didn't understand it.
Yeah,
but then once they because I never asked my parents for money. They were like, oh, he's not asking us to pay his rent. He's able to do it on his own. So I guess this video thing is kind of working out for him. And that's when they're like, all right, that's fine. You got that work ethic. You got that Catholic guilt, which is the most
nice.
I think that's the most valuable thing I got right now. Just like, all right, yeah, I'm fucking offending people by not making money. So let me just work hard to where I win them over with my work ethic.
It's so deep, man. I went to Catholic school. I'm not even Catholic.
Are you Catholic?
I'm not Catholic.
You didn't get dipped?
I did not get dipped, but it's ingrained in me without even getting dipped. Like I'm culturally Catholic now.
And then compounded with growing up Mexican, especially from the family that I come with, it is highly criticized. Like my brother made a rare like pork loin 20 years ago, and we still give him shit for it. Yeah. So like the level of criticism that I have in the back of my head from just my own family, and I'm constantly making up stories of like what my parents are thinking, but it's just in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, then I'm just going to make this video better because I just hear it.
You should.
Yeah, but you got the childhood drama and all that stuff. But I'm like, it kind of made me who I am. So I'm very thankful for the Catholic religion.
Look, this is pretty sweet.
And all those priests that were very inspirational to me.
They make you run faster.
They do. So we kind of already talked about the future of haha. Let's talk about Joe, because Joe's the man.
Joe is the man.
I slid into his DMs a few times after I met him at Jam in the Van years ago. And then he told me, oh, yeah, let's work together. And then I reached out to him, and he was like, I don't know who you are. Fucking Joe. But no, he is an interesting character, and I think he's a big player in all of this, as you are. But just the tenacity to want to do something different and the go attitude inspires me to like just show up even when he's like not having a good time at his set.
It's true.
Yeah.
Joe is a really interesting character to me because he looks like a California surfer, but nobody will tell you that Joe's brilliant.
He really is.
He's really a smart guy. And I heard the best quote about him. Somebody came up to me. He's like, you know what? Joe looks like Spikowski. What's the guy's name from? He looks like Spicoli, but he talks like Patton.
That's a great representative.
Yeah, he looks like Spicoli, but he acts like Patton. Like, fuck, that nails it. He's he's been instrumental in all of this. Joe's superpower is bringing people together.
It is. Yeah.
So he understands that intuitively. He understands what people want. And he knows he's really he has a lot of insight into character, into how talented people are.
Yeah. I think that's just, that's an awesome talent to have. And I don't think it's learned. I think it's just who he is.
Totally.
His own environment.
You can't teach it.
No.
He's got a touch,
Yeah.
Not the Catholic touch.
I think he did grow up Catholic.
He did.
Yeah.
He's Irish Catholic.
Oh man, that's even
yeah.
That's worse. All right, dude.
Roman, Mexican, and Irish.
That's an hour. We just blew through it. Yeah,
that's fun.
That's the beautiful thing about Pints and Professional is we go through all the journey of where you are and where you are now, or where you come from, where you are now, and it's been very insightful. I love this conversation that we have, and I am so excited about what's happening in the future for you, for Haha Hidalgo, for the comedy scene, and all that good shit. So, do you have any last words?
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to doing more work together.
Your
ability to capture stories and characters is something I haven't seen, so I'm really excited about that.
Thank you. I've been learning to take compliments very well, but I mean, the Catholic guilt is just embedded in me. He's like, fuck you will. No, dude, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, and all right, yeah.
Thanks.
You need the potty before you leave? All right, cool.